If you follow influencers, whether it's for business advice, fitness, mindset, or money, you need to see this. What I'm about to show you is a perfect example of how easy it is to get pulled into someone's world to the point where you stop thinking critically about what they say. It starts with liking someone and then admiring them, and before you know it, you're nodding along to everything that they say, buying what they sell, defending them when they're clearly wrong, and then trusting them without any question as well. And that's a trap right there. It happens not because people are stupid, but because of powerful psychological forces that influence all of us. In this video today, we're going to look at a social experiment using fake Donald Trump audio, not to talk about Trump, but to reveal how persuasion, identity, and group pressure can override your own judgment. So if you're serious about protecting yourself from manipulative influence or using persuasion ethically in your own business, this is something you need to understand. And I find psychology like this, by the way, absolutely fascinating. What you're about to see isn't really about Trump or even politics. It's about us, human beings. It's about how normal people in the right environment can fall into cult-like thinking, whether it's defending, a celebrity, a politician, or an online business coach. This right here shows how group dynamics and identity can override even our most basic instincts. Let me just tell you ahead of time that these recordings of Donald Trump speaking are fake, but the reactions of the people in the room are actually real. And what happens next reveals something much darker, something that affects us all, and shows how our own psychology can control us.
We're going to start out and I want to share some leaked audio. And, this is audio of Trump saying some things, and we need your candid thoughts on what to do, right? This is not out at this point, but we need to have a plan in place on how to react and respond to this stuff if it ends up in the media.
Look, I need cameras in the dressing room. Cameras on the wall, cameras on the floor, aimed up at their whatevers. I want the best cameras, set up by the best Chinamen. Understand?
Yeah, well, that could be a violation.
It's to make sure that they're safe.
Dave?
I mean, look, I can't be there all day. I'll just start grabbing them. Believe me, it's for them, not me. I'm a man, they're beautiful women. It's totally natural. Sometimes I'll walk in naked. So then we're all naked. If they file a complaint against me, I can file it right back at them. The Jew lawyer taught me that one.
But we need to have a plan in place on how to react and respond to this stuff if it ends up in the media.
Well, this is obviously old. It's before he decided he was going to be a politician. I personally don't care. I just don't care.
See, I like him because he says all. I like him because he says all that. We love it when he says what everybody thinks and won't say. And with that personality goes those kind of comments most of the time.
As a man, I know I've been in situations, we've been in locker rooms, it's man talk. I've done it, said it, they've done it, said it. I've been around plenty of men, professional, you name it, every man has said something to the effects.
Let's pause right here and talk about what's happening in this clip psychologically. But first, I want to be really fair here. They used Donald Trump in this video, and you could argue there's a massive media campaign trying to tear him down. And there always has been, and ever since he's been running for president, I've thought this, to be honest with you. And they just happen to have used Trump here probably to actually also paint a bit of a bad picture of him and his supporters. But again, this isn't really about Trump. What you're seeing here is a psychological pattern that could apply to anyone in the spotlight. Any influencer, entrepreneur, thought figure, or authority figure, someone you admire says something out of line, but just because you like them, you end up justifying it. You ignore it, you excuse it. That's not a character flaw, that's actually a psychological defense mechanism. And what we just saw right there is a perfect example of what all the people were doing in the room of, trying to justify what they were seeing and trying to, kind of give excuses there. It's a perfect example of something called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is a fascinating topic, by the way. But it's the uncomfortable feeling we get when we hold two conflicting beliefs at the same time. And when that happens, our brain starts looking for a way out, basically, because it doesn't like the discomfort that it's experiencing. So a simple example that you'll probably see in yourself in day-to-day life, someone smokes cigarettes, but also believes smoking is bad for the health. So they have this mental conflict there between those two things. And this creates psychological pressure or psychological discomfort. So to resolve this, they might say things like, well, you know, my granddad smoked and lived to 90, or something like, well, we're all going to die anyway someday, so I might as well just keep smoking. And that is them justifying the reason of why they are smoking and trying to resolve that tension between those two beliefs. Smoking is bad, and you know, I like smoking, right? So in this clip, the same thing is happening, but just on a slightly different scale. So Trump supporters hear recordings that on their own would be completely unacceptable. Talking about cameras in dressing rooms, inappropriate comments about, you know, women and things like this. But then they also like Donald Trump as well, because they're Donald Trump supporters. And maybe they see him as honest, strong, or someone who speaks the truth. So they're caught between, this is wrong, what I'm currently hearing Donald Trump saying right now, and also, I support this person. And that's the mental conflict again. But to resolve this conflict, they downplay what he said. It's just locker room talk. All men say things like this. That's cognitive dissonance in action right there. And it's fascinating to watch. So you're protecting your belief in the person by rewriting how bad the behavior actually was. And it's reframing the, you know, whatever you're hearing right there into something more positive. There's another force at play here too, something called group consensus. And group consensus was first studied by Solomon Asch in the 1950s. He ran a famous experiment. You might have heard it if you've studied psychology like me. But this is a fascinating experiment where participants were shown a simple line on a card, then asked to match it to one of three other lines. And the answer was always obvious. They were asked to, say, which line does this match with in these other lines? But the participant didn't realize that everyone else in the room was actually an actor. So they were the only person that this experiment was being done on. And everyone else in the room would give the wrong answer in a really obvious, quiz, basically. And surprisingly, around 1/3 of participants actually just went along with the group. They just switched their brain off and they just agreed with the obviously wrong answer that everyone else was thinking about, and that's group consensus.
This subject's yielding is based on a distortion of his judgment. He genuinely believes that the group is correct.
One.
1, 2,
1, 2,
2.
2,
I know they're wrong, but why should I make waves?
2.
In this case, the subject knows he is right, but goes along to avoid the discomfort of disagreeing with the group. Here, the distortion is at the level of his response.
2.
2.
2.
We conform because we basically don't want to stand out from the crowd. Back in the tribal times in evolution, to stand out from the crowd was not a good thing, right? You end up losing resources. You could end up, losing money. You could end up, losing your life. We want to fit in because it's the right thing to do. Our psychology is evolved like that. And in our clip here, once one of the supporters speaks up to defend Donald Trump, others then start doing the same or remain silent. No one disagrees with the overall consensus of the group. And the group creates pressure to agree. And even if you privately think it's wrong, you start to doubt yourself. And that's what they saw in the experiments. People are like, hold on a minute, am I wrong? And when they start to doubt yourself, you either go along with the group or you just go quiet. So my analysis as well is the media showing a clip like this adds to this effect as well. And they know this effect and they're trying to get group consensus from people who, maybe are on the fence about Donald Trump. So by pretending that this only happens, the cognitive dissonance, the group consensus only happens to Trump supporters, but it doesn't, it's just part of being human, but they're attempting to also you know, convince people that their beliefs in Donald Trump is wrong. And I'm giving Donald Trump as an example because he's used in the video, but really this happens to all influencers. And this is exactly why I'm sharing it, why it matters, because we're surrounded by influencers these days, mini influencers. It's like this thing which has just got, this industry which has just got bigger and bigger and bigger. 30 years ago, most people got their information from TV. Now it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, podcasts everywhere, people selling you dreams, lifestyle hacks, business shortcuts. Some promise you'll be a millionaire overnight. And I know for a fact that some of the biggest make money online influencers inherited their wealth. And if I told you their names, you'd be like, absolutely no way, but it's true as well. And they're selling you the dream. Or they sell you pills or plans to get the secret body and saying, if you just lift the dumbbell like this, you will get great biceps, while secretly they're doing steroids as well. But the problem is, once you start watching their content, it's easy to fall down the rabbit hole because you then absorb everything they say without ever questioning it. It's human nature to do so. I know this, it's happened to me as well. And cognitive dissonance plays a huge role in all of this. I've seen it on my own channel, by the way, as well. I actually did a little experiment last year. This is the first time I've talked about it. I did a bunch of reaction videos where I talked about the persuasion techniques that different influencers are using, like Iman Gadzhi, like Andrew Tate, like Alex Hormozi. And I tried a little experiment to see how people would react. I released 2 versions of the exact same video, and both of the video were on Andrew Tate because I knew it would get more views. And when I released those videos, and they were exactly the same, you know, breaking down his persuasion techniques he uses, the content was basically identical, except on one video that I released a month earlier, I titled it How Andrew Tate Persuades You, and the other one, I titled it How Andrew Tate Manipulates You. So it was literally one word difference in the title. That was the only difference in context. But that one word actually changed everything. The first video got loads of positive, positive feedback, positive reviews and things, positive comments. People were engaged, they were open, they were curious as well, because I titled it How Andrew Tate Persuades You. But on the one which I titled How Andrew Tate Manipulates You, because it has a negative kind of edge to it, manipulation is bad, which would infer that I was being negative about Andrew Tate. His followers got really, really angry. The people got angry. Their comments were hostile, as if I'd attacked someone they personally knew. That's cognitive dissonance again. The word manipulate clashes with their view of him. And instead of reevaluating the content, they attacked the messenger. And I knew this would happen, and I was just curious to see, because this is kind of an experiment channel. I just like to get on here and I like to, talk about things. I don't sell anything. But that's identity protection kicking in. So here's my advice. If you follow a lot of people online, or if you're trying to do something big, or if you're following people for tutorials, or even if you're following me, watch what people do, not just what they say, and ask yourself, is what they're saying actually based in reality or based in evidence? Don't just hand over your trust or your money without stepping back and thinking critically. I work in persuasion and behavioral science, and the reason I like it is because it's grounded in research. When I go and consult for different businesses, I don't give vague advice. I point to actual studies, I point to data, I point to experiments, I point to results. And that makes it a very easy sell for when I'm trying to sell a solution to someone, or even trying to internally sell the idea that I'm, proposing to them. And that's what I'd encourage you to look for, whether it's in a course, a coaching program, or a content creator you admire. If you're taking their advice, you need to critically think about it, because it stops that cognitive dissonance there. So let me know what you think below, and if you've ever experienced that moment where you've caught yourself defending someone maybe a little too hard, or you're in an argument with someone and you know they're wrong, and you think they know they're wrong, but they double down and they dig in their heels. So if you found content like this helpful, drop it a like. I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care.